Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to our conversation around abundance, the inner path to wealth with Deepak Chopra. My name is Colin Mahan, and I'm a program manager at the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center. And for those of you who may not know, the Nasdaq Center is a nonprofit that is building a better path for entrepreneurs worldwide by improving inclusion, access, and knowledge in entrepreneurship. As you may have just seen in the chat, the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center, along with our partner Mentor Club, launched a free mentor matching platform for entrepreneurs called Mentor Makers. You can create your own advisory board to guide and inspire you with in-the-moment mentorship from topic experts and professionals dedicated to providing exceptional mentorship to entrepreneurs across all races, industries, and geographies. So find or become a mentor today by using the link in the chat. Mentorship matters to all entrepreneurs. Their success is dependent on it. Quick housekeeping item. We're going to open up for a live Q&A at the end of our discussion. So please submit your questions in the bottom of this, in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. Now, none of what we do here could be possible without all the amazing support from our sponsors, including Nasdaq, Lehigh University, Bank of the West, KPMG, Wilson Sonsini, Woodruff Sawyer, and BPM. We're grateful and humbled by their contributions. Now, during these still unique times, we're curious on how sentiment is among the entrepreneurs we work with. So before we get started, I'm going to launch a quick poll that will do two things. One is just let us know how you're feeling about your business right now. It's definitely interesting times in the business world. Also, what's keeping you up at night? What are the topics you'd like to see us provide over the next couple months? This conversation is brought to you to hope to increase some of that optimism and some of that resiliency. So I'm going to end this poll. Share those results. Looks like optimism's on the rise, but do understand there is just some survival and a little bit of anxiety and some fear out there. It looks like finance is at the top of the key. So we'll make sure to get that topic and some others up for you in the coming months and weeks. So without any further delay, please join me in giving a warm welcome in the chat to our special guests. Jailan Griffiths is the Vice President and Global Head of Purpose at Nasdaq, and she's also the President of the Nasdaq Foundation. Deepak Chopra is a world-renowned pioneer in integrative medicine and personal transformation. He is the founder of the Chopra Foundation, a nonprofit entity for research on well-being and humanitarianism, and the founder of the Chopra Global, a modern-day health company at the intersection of science and spirituality. Time magazine has described Dr. Chopra as one of the top 100 heroes and icons of this century. He's also the author of over 91 books, including numerous New York Times bestsellers. His latest book, where we're here to talk about today, Abundance, The Inner Path to Wealth, released March 1st, so it's hot off the press, and unlocks how you can cultivate a sense of abundance in times of fear and insecurity. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Jailan Griffiths and Deepak Chopra. Welcome, Jailan. Deepak, so looking forward to having you.
Thanks for having us today.
Thank you. I'm here.
Amazing. Well, over to you, Jailan. I'm so looking forward to this.
Amazing. Well, thank you again. So, hello, everybody. I am Jailan Griffiths, and as Colin mentioned, I'm the Global Head of Purpose at Nasdaq, President of the Nasdaq Foundation, and I also have the very great pleasure of serving on the board of the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center. At Nasdaq, our purpose is to advance inclusive economic growth and shared prosperity. And in our position at the center of capital creation, markets, and technology, we know that the call to build a more inclusive economy and create more equitable opportunities has never been stronger. So by reimagining investor engagement, building new strategic partnerships, and reinforcing the amazing work that the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center does with its entrepreneurs, we want to work to equip more underrepresented communities with the financial knowledge and opportunity they need to share in the wealth that markets create. Which brings us nicely back to today. Deepak, thank you so much for being here with us. I am really excited for this conversation.
Thank you, Jailan. My privilege.
So let's kick it off. We hosted you back in mid-2020, right as the pandemic had hit, and you spoke about the importance of mindfulness for entrepreneurs in uncertain times. Here we are again at another crossroads of uncertainty, any advice you have for entrepreneurs on how they can cultivate a sense of abundance in times of fear and insecurity?
Yes, abundance is more than just money. Money is a very important aspect of abundance. But if you have all the money in the world and you don't feel a joyful, energetic body, a loving, compassionate heart, creative expression with a quiet, alert mind, and lightness of being, then you've lost the point, because, money is a means to what we think we can do with it. Money is not an end in itself. In fact, the latest research shows that even though people have issues with physical health, mental health, purpose-driven well-being, your department, community health, emotional health, money doesn't fulfill any of those. In fact, the reason I wrote this book was I heard a lyric from Bob Marley who said, "Some people are so poor, all they have is money." Now, if you have money, but you have in addition safety and security, sensual delight and vitality in your body, love and belonging in your heart, creative expression, insight, intuition, higher consciousness, purpose, and finally, the ability to transcend the ups and downs of everyday existence, what you call uncertainty. It is the wisdom of uncertainty that creates entrepreneurs, not those who are basically betting on algorithms. Because nature by itself and fundamental reality, which we call consciousness by itself, is the unknown. It is uncertain. It is unpredictable. And beyond, if you don't have unpredictability, then you can't have creativity. Creativity and unpredictability go together. So for all the entrepreneurs here, focus on your well-being in all the areas, but most importantly, don't lose the connection between yourself and yourself. By that I mean your personhood and the deeper aspect, which we call awareness. We don't need to fear the unknown. What we need to fear, if anything, is the known, because the known is the prison of past conditioning. It's melodramatic, but nobody can predict. Even just now, you can't predict what's going to happen in the world in 5 minutes from now. And everything we know has already happened. Even by the time you hear my words, they don't exist. So everything that we are experiencing, and we bamboozle ourselves that we want to be predictable, when in fact, unpredictability is the source of infinite creativity. The more you're comfortable. I used to teach my children when they were little kids. Now they're huge entrepreneurs in their own right and very successful, much more than I am. I used to tell them to pray every morning, let today be more uncertain and unpredictable than yesterday. If you start with that, your day will never go wrong.
I love that. Unpredictability and creativity hand in hand. It's like, that makes so much sense. So taking that, then you've written over 91 books to date, which is a huge feat, an amazing feat. So thinking about the times that we're going through right now and that moment, what was that aha moment that made you think, I'm going to start writing about abundance, writing about just these things that we're talking about and kind of bringing it out now?
So what happened when the pandemic started, I noticed a few things. I noticed that, of course, what everybody else has noticed, that the elderly people who were getting sick already had risk factors. Mm-hmm. Some of them had depression, diabetes, obesity, etc. And so it was understandable how they were getting sick. But then there were a lot of young people who were also getting sick, and what they had were inflammatory storms. So we started to do a meta-analysis of this, and what came very obvious that depression, anxiety, stress, and particularly the stress of financial stress, even though people had sickness, they were more concerned about losing their jobs, and financial stress was the number one thing they identified. They were the ones who were getting what we call inflammatory storms, cytokine storms, and depression, stress, anxiety over money was actually had a direct relationship to what was happening in their biology. Now, we published this as a meta-analysis, and then my job became how do I teach techniques like mindfulness or vagal stimulation, mind-body coordination, breath, emotional resiliency to help people overcome their anxiety and their depression, both about the pandemic and about their perceived financial crisis. Now, what happened at the same time is I was watching what is happening in the financial markets, and I was seeing that, of course, as you know, you're part of a financial institution. It's very melodramatic. One day it goes up, one day it goes down, and it depends on the latest news in Ukraine or whatever is happening with the pandemic. There seems to be a total hysteria in the way people participate in the market. But I was also seeing that there were people who are actually using this so-called disruption and this uncertainty to create new businesses. We are on Zoom right now, remember? And then also found that not only was it Pfizer and Moderna, but all these other companies were doing amazing research that over the last 2 years wouldn't have happened had we not had the pandemic. And that research has now given rise to new technologies, messenger RNA, and more. We'll soon have vaccines not only for viruses, but even for cancer and heart disease. It's on the horizon. So new businesses were created. Then I started looking at, something called the happiness formula. And this is what I found out. The happy people, no matter what the circumstances are actually entrepreneurial. They take risks, they welcome the adversity, and they ask themselves, what is the opportunity here? And I noticed a lot of people were doing that. Those are the successful entrepreneurs. Second, a lot of people were asking at this time, why do I want what I want? If I want money or a good job, why do I do? And the research showed that those who were purpose-driven and actually followed their purpose, or in the Eastern wisdom traditions, we call dharma, which is your higher calling, that they were also finding opportunities. So, I decided then we have to explore abundance in all the levels. Now, Abraham Maslow, the transpersonal psychologist, identified 5 levels, from safety and security to love and belongingness, creative expression, self-actualization. But if you go to the yogic traditions, it's actually even more interesting. The yogic traditions say that there are 4 reasons for our existence. The first is dharma, which is finding purpose. The second is kama, not karma, kama, K-A-M-A, as in Kama Sutra, which means sensual delight and vitality and joy at just the fact of existence. The third is artha, which is money as a means to exchange values. And the final is moksha, which is liberation from suffering. So I took that to mean, when we look at Western spiritual traditions, you have to be poor in order to be spiritual. And in fact, if you are spiritual and you are rich, then you have to apologize for some reason. It's the Catholic guilt or whatever, been institutionalized. But in my tradition,
I know all about that.
If you are poor in my tradition, then you're not spiritual. You have missed out the opportunity that is called generosity of spirit. Spirit being awareness, which is infinitely creative. So once again, we come to unpredictability, creativity, opportunity, health, and well-being are all connected.
Fabulous. And I understand your point about it being the right time to talk about all those things, because through everything we were going through, that was coming out. So it was an opportunity to connect the dots together and bring it through. So your book also starts out talking about yoga and money and the science, and how yoga is a science of consciousness. And you have those two worlds. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of sort of self-awareness and soul awareness and how they come together?
Yeah. So in our culture right now, we've confused ourselves, metaphorically, ourselves for our selfies, which means that we have no idea who we are. We only depend on public persona, social media, validation or invalidation by others. Some people are superior, some people are inferior. It creates a lot of fear and anxiety because you are actually confusing your self-image with your true self-esteem. Two different things. Self-image is your bio. I can find it on LinkedIn. It's everybody's opinion about you, including your credentials. But self-esteem goes deeper. So in the book, I created something called a soul profile, which is there, which is the self. That soul profile asks you, what are the happiest moments in your life? Describe them in three words. What is your life purpose? 3 words. What is your contribution to the world? 3 words. Who are your heroes, mentors in history, mythology, business, and religion? What are your unique talents and how do you express them and who benefits? What are the qualities of a good relationship? What do you give? What do you receive? Now, when you answer these questions, you suddenly realize this is your true self. This is not your selfie, which is your bio. And if you exchanged values with people who match your values, you could make endless amounts of money. I see in the introduction that you gave on this program earlier, you were asking people to either become mentors or actually adopt mentorship. But you're also asking people to connect with each other in their entrepreneurial visions. So, what is money? The yoga of money. Yoga means connection to self-esteem, number one. But yoga of money is you make money by exchanging with people currency with those people who share your values. So if your values are guns, your values are alcohol, your values are cigarettes and drugs or pornography, you can make money. Just go to Las Vegas and hang out with people who have those values. On the other hand, if your values are health and joy and purpose, you can find those people too. We call money exchange. Your Nasdaq is called exchange. And we also call it currency, the currency of exchange. Who is exchanging what with whom? We are exchanging values. And once you understand your values, once you understand the values of the people you want in your ecosystem, you can make endless amounts of money. All it takes is maximum diversity. I'm not talking about just gender diversity. I'm talking about racial diversity, ethnic diversity, national diversity, artists, humanitarian scientists. So I have this platform called neveralone.love, where I invite maximum diversity, shared vision, complementing each other's strengths, and actually creating an ecosystem of values where we support each other emotionally and spiritually. And if you create that, that's called emergence, you will make a lot of money.
Good advice. So taking that advice and understanding, once you've understood what your true value is and what that currency is, so then you think about, for those listening in today and others who want to learn how to apply your advice in the book, how do you suggest they start on that path to abundance? Once they've established their sense of value, how do they start that path forward?
I think first they establish the values, then they ask themselves very deep questions, which we can do in the meditation. Who am I? What do I want? What is my purpose? What am I grateful for? And there's a way of asking these questions by going deep into your soul, literally. And that part of you is not your mind. Your mind is conditioned by social constructs. It depends exactly on what's happening in the culture right now. So our mind is now influenced by what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in the markets, what's happening in the pandemic, what's happening with mass migrations, on and on. That's the conditioned mind that is full of fear. But if you quieten the mind, you go beyond the conditioned mind. That is what I call consciousness. And if you want to use other words, awareness or soul or spirit, it doesn't matter. The word is not important. There's an aspect of your being which is beyond the conditioned mind, which spontaneously feels connected with all that exists. So once you've established your values, once you've asked these deep questions, then you create, in Sanskrit, we say you create your own sangha, which means community. And these days it's very easy. You do it online. You create a sangha, anyone can create their own community. It was in the past that, business leaders or national leaders or, people in power had the microphone in the village. Now everyone has a microphone. And if they have something useful to sell, if they have some good value to give to the world, and if they don't ask the question, what's in it only for me? What's in it for us? You can create that ecosystem.
So as much about giving back to your community, what value you can provide to them, as much as back to you, what it can give to you.
Yeah, I call that love in action. So action is needed because action without love is irrelevant, and love without action also doesn't help.
Exactly.
Right? You have to have both.
Yeah, you do. You certainly do. Deepak, you write in your book that abundance is a natural experience of life. Abundance in all its forms, which, as you say, means health, relationships, wealth. For entrepreneurs, there's that tension between using finances as a source of abundance versus seeing them as a constraint in that pull. In your opinion, what's the difference between wealth and richness?
Richness is confused really with money. Wealth is abundance at all levels. Okay, and these are the 7 chakras in the Eastern tradition and the hierarchy of needs in Abraham Maslow's hierarchy.
So you mentioned the 7 chakras. Can you highlight a few and how can we cultivate abundance?
Okay, so traditionally the 7 chakras start with survival and safety. Then second is love and belongingness. Third is material success, money, etc. Fourth is creative expression. Fifth is higher purpose. Sixth is archetypal awareness, the big symbols of the infinite that in Western traditions are called angels and whatever we want to call them, but they're symbolic representations of the infinite self. And the 7th is transcendence. So usually when you look at yoga or books on yoga, they start from bottom up. I decided not to. I decided in my book to start with joy, because if joy is not the measure of success, you wasted your life. Totally. You don't want to be at the end of the life, say, I made a lot of money, but I never experienced joy. What's the point? So I start with a top-down approach in the book. How do you cultivate joy every day in existence? And then I go, down the hierarchy till ultimately we get to survival and safety. And along the way, we make money.
It's fair. I like the reverse, how you reverse that.
Yeah, well, it's in Christian traditions too. They're, different metaphors. Yeah. Seek the kingdom of heaven first and all else will come to you. Okay. And if kingdom of heaven is not some location in the sky, there's no such thing. Kingdom of heaven is your state of consciousness. Is it poverty consciousness or is it abundance consciousness? Everything you experience comes from either scarcity or abundance. For entrepreneurs, if they find their life purpose, that is their path to joy, and that is their path to abundance, including money.
That makes sense to me. You talk in the book a little bit about improving your money and karma. Can you discuss how the two are connected, and how can this knowledge be applied in an entrepreneurial way?
Improving your money karma is, karma simply means past experiences and how we interpret them. It's not good money karma, bad money karma. I also, don't like the word hope, because people constantly ask, are you hopeful? Hopefulness implies despair by definition. You don't need hope if you don't have despair. So the only word here is disruptive creativity. And that's what comes from this approach. Welcome the uncertainty, find the opportunity, cultivate your health, well-being, and relationships. And most important, follow your purpose which also means follow your joy, and then see what happens. And this is very important for entrepreneurs, because a lot of entrepreneurs get burnt out, and and then everything is lost. Once you get burnt out means you're not even capable of functioning properly for all the daily needs that you have or what you've promised to deliver. So unless you have a joyful body, unless you have vitality, unless you have creativity, unless you have lack of anxiety, you're bound to at some point fail, and that would not be good money karma.
You mentioned creativity, and we've talked about it a little bit. So let's sticking on the topic of creativity. It's often talked about in business, but you have a different angle. You talk about creative intelligence. So can you speak a bit to what does that term mean to you, and how can it provide for more abundance for our audience?
So creative intelligence right now in your body is doing everything for you without your participation. Who's controlling your blood pressure right now? Your heart rate, your immune function, your endocrine status. So if you have slept well and you allow existence without resistance, the creative intelligence in your body is actually functioning in you right now. How does a human body think thoughts, play a piano, kill germs, remove toxins, make a baby all at the same time? That's not linear. Okay, that's creative intelligence.
It's a lot as well.
Without creative intelligence, you cannot explain how every cell does trillions of things every microsecond and communicates with every other cell. And unless you're sick when something has gone wrong, this is the expression of creative intelligence, and it's infinitely abundant. Look at anything in nature. In every seed is the promise of thousands of forests. In every seed. For every creative idea, you have infinite more creative ideas available to you. And I have a process of creativity also. I help people. It's a 9-step process. Creative process. First is imagine the outcome, and you imagine with all the 5 senses. Second is information analysis, especially if you're thinking of investing or starting a new business, because information for the business is very relevant, or for investment. Third is information analysis. So second is information gathering. Third is information analysis. And then the fourth is incubation, letting go. And I use meditation or music or even sleep for letting go. And that letting go is called incubation, and surrender to uncertainty. And then there's a quantum leap called insight. Something new appears in your awareness that you had never experienced before. You say, aha. So that's how it works. Okay, it's the aha experience, insight, which leads to inspiration, not to motivation. Motivation is mental. Inspiration, by definition, is spiritual. There's no going back. Inspired, in spirit. Inspiration leads to implementation. Implementation leads to integration with the zeitgeist. And ultimately, that's incarnation. It's the death of an old story and the birth of a new story, what we call a disruptive business or a disruptive idea. I mean, we welcome the most disruptive ideas as the most creative. So that's my process.
That's fantastic. It's fascinating. And it's a great process to have, like going through the different thoughts. When we talk about money, you often talk in the book how we can get money wrong, but how we can also get it right. What sort of works to think about how we get money, when it comes to getting money right?
Money for the sake of making money is the worst thing you can do if you don't enjoy it. And if you don't use it for, first of all, you don't enjoy it for yourself, for your family, for your friends, or for philanthropy. If you don't use money appropriately, you are not going to be a happy person. So money for the sake of money. I know people whose total identity is money. So they're either the extremely poor who can't think about anything else because they need it for survival, and sometimes the extremely rich because that becomes their identity. They confuse self-worth with net worth. And, once you do that, then everything depends. Your mood, whether you have a relationship with your wife, what you do in the evenings, are you happy? It all depends on the 4:30 closure of the stock market is running your life. That's a miserable way to live.
certainly is. I look for, that's to your point, it's the wrong ways of making money, but the right ways are how to make it work for you and make you happier. So the book also mentions the relationship between money and work. And you've cited that I think it's the second most satisfying job is being the CEO of a company. How can our CEOs apply your insights to see more abundance in their work?
Very important question, because I've been working in this area for some time. I co-founded an organization called Just Capital, looking at the 1,000 companies on the stock market that we feel are just in terms of treating their employees, and then going from there onwards. So here's what we found, that CEOs who focused on the health and well-being of their employees were very successful. They created an environment of shared vision, emotional, spiritual bonding, and actually noticing everyone's strengths and making sure that everyone's strengths complemented everybody else's strengths, like a good sports team. But, sports teams are also emotionally and spiritually bonded. So with this data, what we found is that those CEOs who actually inspired their teams, not their followers, their teams, because we are all part of a team and we all need to have shared vision. If they complemented their employees on a single unique strength, the rate of disengagement went down to less than 1%. If they ignored their employees, the rate of disengagement was 45%. If they criticized their employees, the rate of engagement actually fell to 20%, because you would rather be criticized than ignored. Ignored means you don't exist. Criticize means at least I'm noticing that you're there. So now we know that about $200 billion are lost in the United States by either disengaged employees or actively disengaged. Actively disengaged means unhappy, coming to work to make other people unhappy. That's $200 billion. And it can be corrected if you know how to build the right team. And this is what I've been doing as part of my work with Just Capital as well.
It's a great answer. And so I think we'll take note from that. So I know we're running out of time, so I've got a couple more quick questions, and I'm going to go over to live Q&A. So you close the book, Deepak, by saying the future is an illusion born when the mind loses its timeless source. How can this concept apply to the entrepreneurs in attendance?
We can do a meditation on that too.
Okay.
But, if the only real experience you have is now, future is unpredictable, past doesn't exist. So actually, the best way to create a future is to be present to awareness now and the choices you're making now. And then the future will take care of itself.
Being present in the moment right now.
And making conscious decisions.
Yeah. Deepak, this has been an amazing discussion, and I could spend many more hours learning from you and sitting here listening about everything you share in abundance. If there's one thing you hope our community takes away from this discussion, what would it be?
How can I serve? And how can I create a community of service and love in action where we complement each other's strengths and actualize our dreams?
Okay. So then I'm going to move to the Q&A. Give me 1 second to get things up. Okay. Question that came in, Deepak, what is the happiness formula? You mentioned it at the beginning of our conversation. What is it? Okay.
So it is, you can write it down as follows. There are variations of this. I'm looking at a book right now across my bookshelf called The Happiness Equation, which is another version of the happiness formula. The original happiness formula was described by a social scientist called, I forget her first name, but her last name is Lyubomirsky. She's East European, but she teaches at one of the universities in California. And she wrote the original happiness formula, and then people came with a lot of variations, but her work was done with the very good research. So here it is. For those of you who want to write it down, H is equal to S plus C plus V. So H stands for happiness. Plus is equal to S, set point in the brain. Set point in the brain for happiness is that you're always looking for opportunities in the midst of adversity. You don't even use the word adversity. What's the opportunity? Instead of what's the problem, what's the opportunity? You start with that. That or the other people always ask, the majority of people, what's the problem? And so that's a basic difference between happy and unhappy people. This set point determines 50% of your happiness experience every day. And how is it determined? It's determined, unfortunately, by your parents and caretakers. If when you were very young, let's say you were 3-4 years old, and your parents were criticizing, condemning, complaining, or playing the victim, you will have an unhappy set point. If your parents were always looking for opportunity or paying attention, or accepting you just as you are, or appreciating you, or expressing gratitude, you will grow up to be a happy person. So when you hear this, you say, well, it's not my fault. And the answer is, it's not your fault, but you can change your set point through reflection, through meditation, etc. Now, but you have to be aware of it. So that's S plus C, conditions of living, which is money. So it is about 10 to 12% of your happiness experience every day. If somebody wins the lottery, initially they're ecstatic. 6 months, they plateau. In 1 year, they're back to their set point. And actually now the data shows in 5 years, they're unhappier because, they become oligarchs and this and that, and they don't know where to hide their money. They don't know how they're avoiding taxes. Everything is miserable for them. So 10 to 12% is what we call money. The remaining 40% are the choices we make every day. So there are two kinds of choices we make every day. The first is for personal pleasure. The number one choice that people make for personal pleasure these days, believe it or not, is shopping. Okay, so they go shopping, they think this is going to make them happy. And it does. You buy a nice new iPhone, which I just did. I like it a lot, but all it is different is the last camera was slightly different. And in 6 months, or even earlier, I'll be bored of this. This isn't going to make me happy anymore. So personal pleasure choices make you happy transiently, but there are other choices which we call fulfillment, which make you happy permanently. And that is finding your life purpose, your domain, but also making other people happy. So if you can give attention, affection, appreciation, gratitude to another person, you'll make them instantly happy. And the data shows you'll get a dopamine, serotonin hit as well. Making other people happy is the fastest way to be happy.
That's wonderful. All right, next question. I love the idea of moving between the conditioned mind and operating from consciousness and awareness. Can you talk a little more about what it means to show up in business from that quieter, more reflective style when so many people in the world are in selfie mode? How do you stay true to that authentic value in a culture that pushes the external markers of success?
You have to cultivate it through mindfulness, through practice, through awareness, through building of relationships, to knowing your soul profile, to connecting with other people who have the same profile. But even more important, you're walking into a meeting, ask yourself, am I present? That's it. Just asking that question will bring you to present moment awareness.
Yeah, being present. Next question. Are there specific challenges that you have faced where you had to dig deeper into your beliefs to stay on course for your purpose?
Yes, I was, when I started my career, I was a neuroendocrinologist and I was seeing the connection between consciousness and biology. I tried to publish it. Nobody would publish my science. Nobody would publish. Even the people, lay publishers. I self-published my first book because I believed in what I was doing. I was vilified, criticized, all kinds of things. I stayed on course. Now, 30 years later, the science came in, the epigenetics, mind, body, and now everybody, we back. I was teaching at Harvard, BU, and Tufts. I went to California because I heard rumors that I would be fired. And the same thing happened in California. The mainstream didn't accept me. So finally, I let go. I said, I don't need validation. I believe in my truth. And I became independent of criticism. In the beginning, I was very hurt by it.
And look what happens when you stay true to your course and your sense of self as well.
That's it. And if you're worried about what other people are going to think about you, the good and the bad, then you stay prepared for being wounded for the rest of your life.
What could you say, power of letting it go, and sometimes you call it something else in your entrepreneurial journey and it comes. How does it work? The power of letting go.
Anything that is feeling like clinging and grasping, whether it's a relationship or money or whatever, when you cling and grasp, your body feels uncomfortable. It feels tight. That's the only sign that you're coming from your selfie and you're not self is your body feels tight. Okay. So what I have employed as a technique for myself is I focus on the sensation on my body without analyzing it. I bring awareness to it till it dissipates. And that's the best way to overcome what we call the conditioned mind in the moment. Either focus on your breath or on your bodily sensations or even the space around you, because the space is neutral. It's the witness to everything that's happened since the history of time.
Thank you. Okay. Question from the audience. Any tips on how to speak or to constantly use language to speak wealth and abundance into our lives and our endeavors, and therefore once tips on how to speak it, and then how you attract like-minded individuals that are conscious of the same intent?
So always know your subject. Whatever the subject is, the subject is stock market, investing, health, whatever. If you are not an expert in your subject, don't even try. Okay. So cultivate your expertise in the area that you're passionate about, whatever your passion is. That's what we call purpose, right? Our passion. If I had all the money in the world, I had all the time in the world, how would I express myself and who would benefit? Now pretend that you have all the money and all the time in the world. Now see what is your passion, what is your purpose, and express it, and you will attract abundance. Second, so speak as an expert on your subject. Second is just what I said. Speak consciously on your subject and never have the luxury of losing your temper or being distracted. Okay, because then you're gone. Okay, if you're impatient or distracted, nothing you say matters. People don't remember what you said. They actually remember how you made them feel.
How you are. Thinking about entrepreneurship, how do you handle the uncertainty of entrepreneurship? It seems that every day, for an entrepreneur, can be a roller coaster, and it's something of a survival mentality, looking for the next deal, looking for the next fundraising. How do you handle that uncertainty and that roller coaster?
I have done it all my life by welcoming uncertainty. And then I say, once I welcome uncertainty in the day, first thing in the morning, my day never goes wrong because I've already welcomed uncertainty and reframed it as creativity. That's the true means to entrepreneurship, whether you like it or not. A lot of people succeed in entrepreneurship, but then they have high blood pressure, they have a divorce, they have rotten teeth, they have heart attacks, and they're in the midst of a drug addiction. So what's the point?
It's fair. Okay. I'm going to queue up, I think, probably coming for the last question, and it's a good one. in a culture of constant doing, how can we refocus on the being instead? So mindfulness can be practiced while you're meditating, but how can one practice mindfulness on the go, as it were?
Yeah, so the formula here is Frank Sinatra's song, Doobie Doobie Doo. So one extreme is being, the other extreme is doing. Now, how do we refer to the human species? We call them human beings. We don't call them human doings, right? So right there, being comes first. Feeling comes second. Thought comes third, and doing comes last. So what I do is I focus on being. Then I say, what can I feel right now that will make me joyful? That then determines how I speak and what I do. So that's doobie doobie doo.
I love it. What a great way. What a great way to combine that together, thinking about the Frank Sinatra song. Okay, so really, Deepak, I'd say thank you so much for the conversation we've had and for your responses to all of these questions that have come in. I've really enjoyed our time together, and I've learned a ton. I took a few notes, including the happiness formula, so I'll be working on that. So I'm thrilled to hand over the stage to you now as you lead us through a guided meditation.
On the happiness formula, the name came to me, Sonia Lyubomirsky.
Got it.
Scientist at University of California.
Fantastic.
Okay, so wherever you are, please close your eyes, put your feet firmly on the ground, and let's start with just observing the breath, just observing the breath. Remember, breath is a sensation, and all experience is a sensation. Sound, touch, sight, taste, smell, all are sensations. Even thoughts are sensations. But right now, just focus on your breath as it arises, as you experience it, and as it goes. This was the Buddha's first meditation. What he realized that you can't hold on to your breath. And from that, he came to the conclusion, you can't hold on to any experience. You can't grasp. It leads to suffocation. So right now, just allow the breath to come and go as it does, spontaneously. And mentally tell yourself, I'm present in every breath I experience. Now touch one part of your body with another part, maybe one hand with the other, or feel your skin sensing your clothes, or your feet sensing your shoes, and not any skin contact. And as you do that, just mentally remind yourself, I'm present in everything I touch. Now open your eyes just briefly. Be aware of the space in which you're engulfed and all the objects, the colors, shapes. And as you close your eyes, tell yourself, I'm present in everything I see. Generate some saliva in your mouth. Taste it. Taste the back of your teeth, the roof of your mouth. Gently remind yourself mentally, I'm present in everything I taste. Bring your awareness to your nostrils, just with the intention of experiencing any odors or fragrances. And just tell yourself, I'm present in everything I smell. Now let's go a little deeper. So let's generate some images in our awareness. Very simple. Image of a rainbow. Image of snow-clad mountains. Image of a beautiful sunset on the ocean. Image of a green meadow. Very easy. And as you generate these images, in your awareness, mentally tell yourself, I'm present in everything I imagine. Now, let's go a little deeper into emotions. So think of someone, we'll choose one emotion, love. Think of someone you love, your significant other, your child, your parents, even an idea. As you think of someone you love, if it's your husband or wife or child or parent, bring their image into your awareness, listen to their voice in awareness, and then feel the emotion in your body, in your heart. And then mentally tell yourself, I'm present in every emotion I generate in my awareness. I create. And now let's go a little deeper. Ask yourself, I wonder what my next thought is going to be. When you wait for a thought, it takes its time. So allow it to come across the screen of your consciousness. I wonder what my thought is going to be. Next thought. Let it drift by the screen of your consciousness like a cloud in the sky. I am present in every thought that lands on the screen of my consciousness. Now let your awareness actually go beyond the boundaries of your skin. Let it pervade all of space-time. And as you do that, remind yourself, I'm present in every experience across the fabric of space and time. I am present. Okay, now we'll go a little deeper into reflection. So now I hope your mind is quiet and you're present. Mentally ask yourself, who am I? Who wants to know the answer to that question? Am I the changing body, or am I the awareness in which the changing body is an experience? Am I the changing mind or images or emotions? Or am I the awareness in which all this comes and goes? Don't try to answer it. It'll come to you. And now mentally ask yourself, what do I want? What is my deepest desire? Again, don't try to answer it. Allow any sensation, image, feeling, or thought to spontaneously come to you or not come. Doesn't matter. Just ask the question, let go. What is my deepest desire? You can expand on it for me, for my family, for the world, for my business. What is my deepest desire? Allowing any sensation, image, feeling, or thought to arise or not arise. Ask and receive. Ask and let go. Third question, what is my life purpose? Allowing any sensation, image, feeling, or thought to come to you. Fourth and final question, what am I grateful for? Gratitude, notwithstanding the circumstances of your life, will open the window to generosity of spirit. What am I grateful for? Allowing any sensation, image, feeling, or thought to come to you. And now the final phase. Repeat your name to yourself. I'm Jailan Griffiths. I'm Deepak Chopra. I'm John Smith. Even as you repeat yourself name, remind yourself, I'm not my name. So now drop your name. Instead of saying, I am Deepak Chopra, I'm John Smith, I'm Jailan Griffiths, just say, I am, with no name, no form attached to it. And now turn that phrase, I am, to the mantra. Mantra is just an instrument of the mind that takes us beyond the mind. In this case, the mantra, aham, aham, the sound of existence, aham. Let's keep this up for a half a minute or so. I'll mind the time. Finally, let go of the mantra and just rest in your own presence. Rest in your own being. Just be. Be aware of being aware. This is who we are beyond the conditioned mind. Infinite, formless. But without it, there's no experience. So rest in your own presence. Being. The I that was always there when you were a baby, a toddler, a teenager, or wherever you are, or in your journey of mind and body, there's one constant, I, the awareness which never changes. This awareness is the ultimate and supreme genius and mirrors the wisdom of the universe. Hang on to it. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Deepak, thank you so much for that amazing overview of your book. Shout out to Jailan for moderating that conversation.
Thank you.
I learned so much, and I'm looking forward to diving into the book myself. So hopefully to everybody out there in the audience, that was helpful and a great way to start the week. Check out the book. It's Abundance online. We're going to drop a link for a discount code. So feel free to download. And Deepak, on behalf of everyone on our team and everyone in attendance, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Colin. Very grateful to you and your team and everyone who joined. Thank you.
Amazing. Well, to everyone still on, we hope this was great, and we look forward to seeing you all online soon. Have a great week, everyone.